Our only real paid lead source is TV. We're just doing TV, and it's been that way for, I want to say, 2.5 years about. TV's been wonderful for us. We get appointments on about 90% of our leads that come in from TV. We're converting into contracts, and we close about 98% of our contracts, 1 out of 5 and 1 out of 6 leads from TV. People feel like they know us. They've seen us on TV for a long time. Even though we've just been on TV, there are people who just assume you've been on TV for a long time. It really is not bad. Our cost per contract is much lower now using TV, this channel or that channel. It's whatever's going to perform, and I don't have to worry about that. That would have been a huge barrier for me besides.
All right, welcome guys to another episode of one of our client case studies. We're here with John Nolan. John is a fellow aviator, friend of mine, and real estate investor. He's been running TV for just over 4 years now, and we're going to talk about how he has gotten a lot of credibility from TV, how he has been able to shut off pretty much every other lead channel because nothing has performed as well as TV, how he closes a high percentage of deals, how a high, very high, this is probably the highest I've seen, a high percentage of leads that turn into appointments, and all of the other benefits that he has received from TV. So if you guys are real estate investors, you're gonna love this one. Chances are you are a real estate investor watching this. You're gonna see how TV has transformed John's business as it has transformed mine as well. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a real estate investor as well. I started investing in real estate 24 years ago and discovered TV commercials 13 years ago. And about 5 years ago, we decided to help other real estate investors with their TV commercials. And it's completely changed the game for a lot of people. And we wanted to do these interviews to show what it has done for other investors so that you can see what it could potentially do for you. So John, welcome on here. Appreciate you coming on with us.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Tony. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So some of you guys may follow John on social media. He's flying all over the place with his airplane. Love seeing him do that. And so John, so tell us TV. So 4 years ago, before you started TV, tell us what your marketing looked like, and then kind of bring us to today, what your marketing is comprised of.
Yeah, 4 years ago, we were doing what I consider the traditional marketing. We were sending out a ton of postcards and letters, had a good PPC budget. We had been doing cold texting. We'd done cold calling at one point, but it was mainly a lot of money on mailers and pay-per-click. And then, of course, SEO, which SEO is a small bucket. I mean, you put in a little bit and then you hope for stuff over time. Now, fast forward 4 years, all we have our SEO still. We've shut off pay-per-click. We've shut off mail. We've tried mail. We stopped it. We went back to it, shut it off a second time. Our only real paid lead source is TV. We still get referrals, and we push our long-term follow-up on all of our lead channels, all of our originals. But we're just doing TV, and it's been that way for, I want to say, 2.5 years about. TV's been wonderful for us.
Wow, that's amazing. I just did an interview last week with someone that said the exact same thing, that they were doing texting, cold calling, and I think they had 1 or 2 other lead channels. And once TV turned on, they literally were like, why are we managing 3 to 4 VAs going through 50 to 100 leads to get a deal? And so I never recommend anybody rely on one lead channel, but it's interesting how TV has been able to replace other lead channels for investors. And so I'm glad to see that it's done well for you. Do you see yourself adding anything to TV? Because there's so many other marketing channels that are complements to TV, or do you feel like just TV is performing consistently enough that you feel like that's all you want to do?
Right now, that's all we want to do. We've played around with things over that time and added this and that and tried them, and it comes down to hustle. Especially in real estate, we like to, generally speaking, kind of emblazon the hustle and make that such a thing that we hold up in high regard. But at some point, the hustle gets tiring, and with all those other lead channels, we had to hustle for every single deal. Now, I'm not saying we don't work for our deals now, but we get appointments on about 90% of our leads that come in from TV, which is really, 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 really high. And then we're converting into contracts, and we close about 98% of our contracts. Um, 1 out of 5 and 1 out of 6 leads from TV. And so it's not that we're trying to be lazy, we're just trying to be efficient. We had a large team at one point, and we've gotten a lot leaner, we've gotten a lot more efficient, and it makes sense for us to keep moving on this. And we'll, as things come and go, we'll try different things. I'm sure. I'm not saying that we'll never do anything besides TV, but last 2.5 years, it's been our rock. And we've been on it for 4 years, but 2.5 years of just being on TV, really.
So how does that compare to other lead channels? So when you did direct mail, PPC, those other things, what percentage of, and maybe you don't know this, but what percentage of leads became appointments? But you probably know how many leads turn into a deal with other lead channels. Can you kind of compare a little bit?
His, Historically on mail, we were about 1 in 18 turned into deals. That got down to 1 in 30 to 1 in 40 before we turned off mail.
Wow.
We were another postcard in the stack of postcards. It was really what it came down to. The trends would come of, oh, do the check letter or do this postcard or do that. Well, everybody shifts at the same time for the most part. And so there was no credibility there. Um, Pay per click, it's been a long time since we did pay per click. I want to say that we were like 1 in 12 on pay per click back when we started or when we were doing it. Um, and so it was a good lead source because again, you're getting those inbound leads, just like with TV. Um, Texting was probably 1 in 40, 1 in 50, and cold calling was just for us abysmal. And that comes down, I think cold calling more than anything comes down to the management of the cold calling. And I was not a good manager for cold calling.
Mhm. Cool. What other benefits have you seen from TV? Obviously TV has given you a direct ROI. It's cut down your time of not having to deal with so many leads. What other things have TV brought to you that are outside of just an ROI?
Credibility is the biggest, and name recognition, brand recognition. So in our market, where our brand is known, so there's credibility there, but also there's credibility whether it's me going out to property, which I don't go out to anymore, almost or hardly ever, or one of our folks. People feel like they know us. They've seen us on TV for a long time, and so the length of time that we've been on TV has built extra credibility. But even when we first started on TV, people would get excited when I came out to their house. It was kind of awkward for me at first. But people seeing you on TV really gives a lot of credibility. And then it also carries over into like referrals. Um, we've bought houses from family friends who have known that we do this, but we really don't come to mind before we didn't. Um, but the fact they see us on TV, they've seen us on TV for years, they go, oh, I'm not even going to bother with these other people. I'm just going to reach out to John, see if they can help us out. And that makes it so much easier for everybody.
hmm So, if you remember correctly, I don't know if you remember this, but we started going to Investor Fuel Mastermind in
Mhm.
2001, and you were the first one to sign up with us back in 2001 out of that mastermind. And I remember you coming to the next event 3 months later, and I hadn't talked to you. My team had been working
Mhm.
with you, and you shared your numbers, and then it kind of spread through Investor Fuel, and now we have a ton of clients. So first of all, I want to thank you for that. I need to send you something nice for kind of starting that snowball there. So tell us about that. When you started TV, tell us about the leap into TV, what your thought perception was, because you guys jumped on pretty quickly,
Mhm.
um, and kind of like when you knew it started working.
That's a funny story because I was actually not enthusiastic about going on TV. My impression from a franchise I used to be with was that TV was just expensive and it wasn't going to be a good return on ROI. But my wife runs the business with me, Amy. She was like, "This is going to be good. We need to do this." And I was like, I kind of humored her. I was like, "Okay, let's give it a shot. I don't think this is going to pan out, but fine, why not?" We went live in June, and it took I mean, the phone started ringing fairly quick, but then in July, at that point, we had our busiest month ever. I don't remember how many we did that month, but I know towards the end of July, I got 10 contracts in one day. And that was by far the most I'd ever gotten
In
in one
one
day.
day.
Yeah, that was a busy day. And I think we kept all but two as rentals of those. But I mean, it was a little over a month and we had substantial ROI coming back via form of contracts and then actual income coming in, 30 days ish after that. But I was eating crow. I was like, okay, I didn't think this was going to work. I thought this was going to be too expensive. It wasn't that expensive, and the ROI was just amazing. Nothing like, when you send out mail, you need to send it out for 6 months and hope you get the phone to start ringing. No, it's not like there's not that delay with it. And even people who, even though we just been on TV, there are people who just assume you've been on TV for a long time.
Want to get motivated sellers that nobody knows about? Introducing 10x TV. If you want to create credibility in your market, find deals that nobody else knows about, and crush your competition, you need to check into TV commercials. It is the new buzz in the real estate investing industry since we introduced it several years ago. I've been using TV commercials myself for the last 12 years and it's absolutely crushed it. So if you want to learn how to get on TV and to do something that little to no people are doing right now, go to claimmymarket.com. Again, that's claimmymarket.com. We usually only work with 2 investors per market, so if you're interested, reach out to us and book a call to see if you can claim your market before anybody else does. Now back to the show. So a couple things that I caught there. Number 1 is listen to your wife, and
Yep.
number 2 is that your mentality is what a lot of people's mentality is on about TV. People hear about TV, they're like, "Oh, it's too expensive. I got to put my face on camera." There's a lot of things that people think when they think about TV, and people know that it works, but a lot of people don't want to potentially spend the money they think it's going to be, and there's a lot of other things that they probably think that they have to do that they don't want to, which
Yeah.
makes it higher barrier of entry, and that's
Mhm.
why many people don't do it, right?
Yep. And one of the things that would have kept me from ever doing it on my own was I don't know how to contact the TV station and then say what my demographic is and what shows I want to be on and time slots and then the budgeting of that. Because a lot of times when people think of TV, they think of the expensive time slots. Those aren't necessarily the best time slots for our market. And so being able to have that in y'all's hands to where we're not worrying about it. I mean, y'all, we get the info, y'all tell us that. But I don't care if we're on this channel or that channel. It's whatever's going to perform, and I don't have to worry about that. That would have been a huge barrier for me. Besides thinking that it was expensive, managing it would have been a perceived roadblock for me.
Yeah, 100%. So I got a few more questions for John. If you guys are, at the point where you're like, man, this is a no-brainer, you've heard enough. We only have so many spots per market. You can go to 10xtv.co and see if your market's available. And we will do a free marketing audit for you. So if you go there, you apply, get on a call with my team or myself, and we'll do a marketing audit for you. Again, go to 10xtv.co and see how you can dominate your market. All right, cool. So I love this story. I love everything you're saying, John. This is why we do what we do. We love making an impact on people. So kind of diving a little bit more um, into this.
Mhm.
One of the things that we've seen is I know you close on a lot of deals. Have you been able to raise like private money from investors? Has there been anything like that that's come to fruition that TV's helped with? Like for instance, we've two ways that I've seen it. One is people have actually contacted us directly and been like, I want to invest in real estate, and we end up getting them into our lending program. And then the other thing is when someone refers someone to me for lending money, one of the first things they say is, "Oh, I know who you are. I know." Like it's almost like it's a really easy conversation, and all they want to know is what the numbers are. And I don't think I've talked to one person um, that was a private lender that didn't say or that said that we saw you on TV that wasn't just like a lay down and they ended up investing with us. So I'm kind of curious if you've seen anything like that or you've utilized commercials for lending.
I'm not a good case study on that. We have several good private lenders that we've worked with for a number of years, and so we haven't pushed to really grow that side of the business. We just haven't had a big need to. I will say, in general perception, with others even in the industry, they do it. People just automatically, oh, that's John. He's an integrity home buyers. He's on TV. Yeah, he's a big deal. People say,
Yep.
but we haven't used it specifically to help raise money.
Gotcha. And so talk about, you don't have to tell people what you're spending on TV. So you said the perceived cost. So again, that's something that we get a lot. Is like, man, TV is probably too expensive. So tell us about how that went. So you thought TV was too expensive. We showed you how expensive or inexpensive it actually could be.
Hmm.
Is there anything else you want to say about that?
I mean, it's very reasonable. Obviously, it depends on the market. I'm in I don't know what you consider Oklahoma City market wise, but we're in a decent sized market. Um, and it really is not bad. Our cost per contract is much lower now using TV than it ever was when we were a franchise or when we were doing mail and pay per click and everything else. Um, it comes down to trusting the team on what, where we need to place ads, but then also giving feedback. If we see that we're not getting calls on, I'll just say Saturday afternoons ever, giving feedback, hey, we're never getting any calls on this time slot. If we're marketing on this time slot, this may not be a good time for us or something else. But it's been wonderful. I want to say our ROI historically is 10 to 12x.
Oh, wow.
Um, we're flip heavy, so we tend to have a little bit higher ROI than a wholesaler would. But I mean, even if we were wholesaling it, we would still have a very, very, very healthy ROI on our TV spend.
Awesome. Have you seen anything else like I know a lot of people will be like, man, when I was doing, texting, cold calling, all these other things, I was, averaging 20,000 a deal, and with TV I'm averaging, 25, 30, 35,000. Have you seen the margins higher on TV deals as well?
I would have to go back to look because we've been on TV so long. It's hard for me to say, Tony. I'm sorry. I know that our typical margins on our flips now, we're in a low cost market, are between 30 and 40K. If we were wholesaling them, they'd be 10 to 15.
Mhm.
Um, but given a comparison on that, I can't give it to you right now. I'm sorry.
No, no, no big deal. And that's another key point is, what you're doing with the deal, right? The dispo strategy. So if you're wholesaling, you can make some good money. If you're flipping, it takes a little bit longer, but your ROI can dramatically increase with that. So that's another good point there. Well, we can wrap it up here. Is there anything else that you can say about TV, whether it's financially outside of TV, and what would you tell people that are doing? And I think your story is very similar to a lot of people right now, where direct mail used to work and it doesn't now. PPC used to work and it doesn't now. Pay per lead used to be inexpensive and used to get good leads, and now it's hard getting a hold of people and costs have gone
Hmm.
up and things of that nature. So, what would you tell people that are doing those other marketing methods that maybe are looking for something different?
The thing I would really say is it goes back to hustle, and we like to respect the hustle, and there's nothing wrong with hustle. We all have a time period where we need to hustle. Those harder lead sources, those harder marketing channels are going to create more hustle. And eventually, most of us are saying we want to get into real estate for time. Time means you're going to have to hustle less, you're going to be more efficient. TV gives you the ability to have inbound leads. So they're hot leads coming in, not just, well, you sent me a postcard. How much are you going to give me? Um, and you have a lot of credibility with them to begin with. So you have a leg up on somebody who they may have called that sent a postcard or sent a cold text or a cold call or something. Um, so really kind of getting to that next level of your real estate journey to where you're not having to hustle as hard, but you're still being successful and you can still grow.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like I love talking about TV, but the second biggest thing that I like talking about with real estate and just business in general is how to do things smarter and easier.
Mhm.
For the first 10 to 15 years, I did things really hard and I burnt out. And it actually was good because I hit rock bottom mentally and I had to do things smarter. So I ended up hiring a better team, started doing better marketing. So really what you have to do is just look at your entire business and be like, how can I work smarter? And when you start
Yep.
dialing it down, it usually comes down to smarter people, smarter marketing, and then better systems. And if
Yep.
you can get those three dialed in, man, you can fly all over the country in your airplane.
Yep. That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
Awesome, John. Well, I appreciate it. If you guys, again, you want to see if your market's available and see how it can change the game for you, go to 10xtv.co. And speaking of working smarter, John also is the founder of Pete. If you guys are looking for a CRM, go check out the Pete CRM. It's something that is changing the game for a lot of investors. It's something John created for his business. And kind of similar to what I did with TV. I worked for my business and started helping other people with it. John created Pete for his business and helps other people by allowing them to use this software as well. So thanks again, John. Appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you again.
Sounds great. Thanks, Tony.